When Acting Chief Medical Officer in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Francis Martin, and Public Relations Officer Kevin Frederick appeared on GBN's To The Point program on February 20th, they advised that in Grenada's fight to keep the coronavirus out of the country, anyone traveling from China, where the outbreak was first reported, will be placed in quarantine for the duration of the incubation period of the virus, which is 14 days.
13 days.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And they want to return, or the ticket, it's time for me to go back. What happens? Are they allowed to leave?
No.
Once 14 days must expire.
14 days must expire.
Less than 2 weeks later, that rule seemingly does not apply to all travelers.
Yes, there were two Italians that were here, I think on vacation or something like that. Yeah, we quarantined those 2 days.
Right. Are they still here?
They have since left.
Last week, a news release from the Government Information Service noted that swift action by Grenadian health officials and immigration officers at the Morris Bishop International Airport last Wednesday night resulted in the quarantine of 3 Italian nationals who arrived on an international flight. The 3, who had left Italy last Monday, were considered persons of interest to the Ministry of Health surveillance and monitoring teams, which immediately screened, interviewed and isolated the visitors from the general population at the airport's arrival terminal.
Once we identify that they are from an area of concern for us, then we will quarantine them. But these persons in quarantine, remember, they do not have any symptoms at all. And once they're wearing a face mask with no symptoms, the signs indicate that there are no risks to anyone.
The coronavirus, now present on every continent except Antarctica, has infected nearly 90,000 people, killing more than 3,000. Dr. Martin notes that while Grenada has travel restrictions for people arriving in the island, there is none in place for travelers who wish to leave.
We have no travel bans from persons leaving Grenada to go anywhere. People do have a choice, and so if they choose to leave, we cannot restrict them.
So if they are in quarantine or not, they can choose to leave?
Yes, they can. We just don't want them to mix with our population until we are satisfied that they're there, and that's because of procedures. But once you're not symptomatic, the science indicate that you can only spread this virus during the early symptomatic stage of coughing and sneezing, and if you have a fever. They have no coughing, no sneeze, you have a fever, and no fever at all. So they can leave, especially if they're wearing a mask, they can leave. It's up to the receiving airline or the receiving country to decide whether or not they want to accept them back.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell is expected to address the nation in a national address on Tuesday. Blossom Alexis Welsh, GBN News.